Good morning and welcome to ECG 691 Action Research. This is our podcast number 2, and today is Tuesday, January 15th. We have just passed last night, the last day to register or add the class, and so I think most of you have sent your information sheet in to me as your first assignment, and I appreciate that very much. Today, I'm ready to get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's go to work on the class, and let's see what we can accomplish over these next 10 or 12 weeks. And I'm excited about this process. I love this process. I love this course. Your first assignment, of course, is to do some reading out of Galvin's book, and I hope you will do that, the first 4 chapters and then chapters 5 and 6. In my next podcast, I probably will review some of that information with you as we go along. As a matter of fact, some of it's going to be embedded in what I want to talk about over the next 5 or 6 minutes here. Your first task is to identify your problem or identify your improvement that you are going to make in your program, your school, your grade, your system, whatever the case may be. In this original assignment, you should be able to have a conversation with your administrator, your boss, your director, your superintendent, your principal, whatever the case may be, and discuss what kind of problems or improvements or issues you want to address with this action research assignment. In identifying the problem or identifying the issue that you want to address, some of the questions to consider are these. How do you know it is an issue? How do you know it is a problem? How do you know it is a concern? Number 2, has this problem or this issue been addressed in the past in any way? And then how did you identify this as the issue that you want to work on? Some problems are long-lasting and very difficult to deal with. I am not suggesting whatsoever that you attack a problem in this particular arena if it is a stump that has been in the field for 2 decades and everybody has been plowing around it, and now you're going to be the guinea pig to try to solve this problem that no one else has been willing to address. I am not suggesting that that sort of scenario be chosen. One of the things that this assignment requires you to do is to write the basic problem down, the basic issue, the basic improvement in a set of bulleted phrases or statements. This is not a manuscript format. It is not the final format that you will present as your finished paper, 3-chapter, 3-section paper at the end of 691, but this is just an introduction. It's designed for you to, in phrases and brief statements, identify what your problem is. Now, in the end of 692, you're going to be preparing a PowerPoint for presentation. And so this is sort of in preparation for that. Go ahead and prepare bulleted statements like you would put on a PowerPoint to summarize what your issue is that you're going to be discussing. Also, you want to include, as I've already indicated, how you know it's a problem and what has been done to address the issue in the past. In the last podcast, I identified some of the type assignments that people have engaged in over the years. In terms of in schools, people have done everything from improving study skills to trying to increase attendance to and decrease absenteeism to raising math scores to cutting down on the number of disciplinary referrals in the special ed population to, you name it, introducing a uniform policy, that is, wearing school uniforms for the first time, all kinds of things that have been done. But your situation is unique. Now, let me say quickly that a few of you in this course are part of a cohort group. But some of you have different areas that you work in. I am not suggesting, for example, that all of you who are from DeKalb County do the same project. And I don't think that would be appropriate in this case because you're in different schools, you have different problems you need to address, you have different issues and so forth. But if you are in the same school, or if you're working with school counselors to implement a systematic improvement or something like that, then you can certainly appeal to me to be able to work in the cohort group and work together. One of the things that I am going to insist upon is that each individual do a thorough literature review of the potential solutions to the problem. That is, search the professional literature, peer-reviewed journals, and so forth as to what kind of things have been done in the past to address this kind of problem or the same problem in other schools, other states, other systems. And then when you come together as a cohort group to discuss the potential, you'll have all the available options at your disposal, and you can pick the ones that are most appropriate for your particular system or your school. This is not a dissertation. In a dissertation, you would be proposing an original, never before done before solution to a problem. Here, you're surveying and identifying through the examination of data and results solutions that have been tried with similar or the same problem before. So you're not inventing anything new. You're actually drawing upon the expertise and the experiences of others to try to find a solution for your particular problem. So this assignment asks you to identify in a bulleted set of points what your problem is, what brought you to the conclusion that this is an issue you want to address, and what may have been done about it in the past. Secondly, I want you to identify, brainstorming, what proposed solutions there may be to this problem. You have a mind, you're educated, you're familiar with the culture and the setting and the situation. Use your best imagination, your best informed, educated guess as to what are some potential solutions for your problem. And you may decide that a good solution for your problem is going to require $50,000 or $5,000 or $500. And you may know in the back of your mind that that is not a likely investment that your school or system is going to make in addressing this issue. Do not be limited at this point by any of those types of things. If it is a legitimate solution, potentially, write it down. And then we will, as we do the literature review and look at what others have done, we will filter out those possibilities that are not legitimate in your setting for one reason or another. And some of the reasons you may reject potential solutions or choose other solutions are the cost factor, the time factor. You may have a supervisor who said, no, we're not going to do that. So those are some of the things that help you filter out the potential solutions to this issue that you're going to be investigating as time goes on. So you are aware, and you must consider your own culture in your school, your own student population, the faculty, and so forth. Your next assignment, that is due the 29th, is going to ask you to identify your, for lack of a better term, we're calling advisory council, the group of stakeholders who are affected by this problem. Parents, fellow teachers, administrators, the school board, community members, students, what kind of students, etc. You're identifying all of the stakeholder groups who are potentially affected by this problem or by this issue, and you're identifying all the stakeholders who may be affected or may be needed in the implementation of your solution as you go forward. So your stakeholder advisory committee is very important. And I'm going to say a word about that, and then I'll close up this particular podcast with two things. Regarding the stakeholders, one of the reasons that you want to develop an advisory committee And someone has asked before, can I use my building-based support team or whatever intervention team, RIT team, whatever you have in place, you certainly can. You may want to expand that committee. You may want to take members off that committee for your advisory committee because there may not be a representative group of stakeholders on there. But you can certainly start with that group and use them if you wish. One of the reasons why you want to get an advisory council is so you don't crawl out on a limb by yourself and then saw yourself off. You need to have buy-in. And one of the things that an educational specialist, a problem solver, if you will, an expert problem solver does is to create consensus, to generate consensus, support in initiatives and so forth. It's something your superintendent has to do. It's something your principal has to do. It's something other leaders in any institutional situation have to do. You must generate followership. You must generate a consensus of support and agreement that this is the direction we want to go in. And so this advisory council is going to help you, particularly at the initial stage, and then as you implement your solution and time goes on, they're going to help you with that implementation and support that you need. So assignment number 1 is posted on Blackboard as clear as I can possibly make it, is to identify the problem. And the instructions are there. If you have any questions, you can certainly email me at any time. Now, the last thing I want to say is that I am considering planning a synchronous collaborate session where we can ask questions and discuss things perhaps next week. But I will email you about that if we decide to do that. And if you feel a need for that at any time, you certainly can email me and say, Dr. Turner, let's have a discussion session at a certain time or something like that. One of the difficulties is people's schedules make it very difficult for everyone to get together at the same time. And so that's why I'm doing these podcasts, and you can listen to them at your convenience rather than trying to have a synchronous session. So that's where we are today. That assignment is due 1 week from today on the 22nd. You must continue with your reading because that's going to impact your writing and putting together of this particular proposal in Chapter 1 just a little bit later. And then we're going to launch out into the literature review, and that will be the subject of my next podcast. I hope you have a terrific week. Feel free to email me or call me anytime you need to. I'm here to facilitate your exploration and solution of this problem to the end that students might benefit and your school and your system and your work be made more profitable. Thanks for listening.